Sisters and brothers, as we continue our journey through the teachings of the Catholic Church and the Catechism, we thought we'd talk today about discernment, that activity of coming to decisions in our lives. You know, our lives are filled with decisions. What we eat for dinner, do we eat at home, do we go out? Our vacations, is it a pilgrimage or is it to the beach or a resort? Our lives are filled with decisions. What's my vocation in life? How do I respond to God's call in my life as a young adult? How do I respond to God's call in my life as a senior citizen? All of these decisions we're called to make reflect how God moves in our lives and calls us forward into new activities and new opportunities to express our love for God and for neighbor. Discernment comes from the word that means to separate or to divide, because that's what we do when we make a decision. We choose one thing rather than another. One of the challenges in our Christian faith is sometimes there's some odd theology around God's will, as if God has planned out everything that we're supposed to do, and our role in life is to discover what God's will is. I don't know about you, but I think finding out God's mind on my own is some pretty tough work. So rather, the question of discernment is, what is God calling for us? You look at Jesus in the gospel. What does he say to the apostles before he calls them? What do you want? What does he say to the blind man? What do you want? And then he says, come follow me. And then he heals the blind man. It's what do we want, Jesus is asking us. And ultimately, that's the question of how do we love God and how do we love our neighbor? Is it expressed in married life? Is it expressed in the diaconate? Is it expressed in both? In my own life, that was a function of discernment. So how do we discern? We discern in prayer. It's by stopping to listen. And it's not to listen so much to this onerous notion of how God has willed something into my life. It's to stop and listen and say, how is God calling me to deeper love in life? And then what is the best decision I can make? A great example is the angel's appearance to Mary in the Annunciation. The angel doesn't say, Mary, you have to do this. He asks, what do you want to do? And she says, let it be done unto me according to your will. Let my will align with your will. And oftentimes that's what discernment is about, and our freedom, our ability to respond to God. So again, how do we go about that? Through prayer, oftentimes frequent prayer over a period of time until we reach some sense of clarity. Now, in the big decisions of life, everyone who talks about discernment is going to say this: we should have a mentor, a spiritual guide. That making decisions on our own is often a good way to head down a blind alley, to make a decision that's just about me, rather than living in the freedom God has called us to. So one of the pathways for that is spiritual direction. Another is to talk to one of the holy men and women in your parish, a member of your family who you think of wise and holy, to ask them to help you hear how God is calling you and what your best response would be. Sisters and brothers, if we do discernment in the small and in the big decisions of our life, we indeed will renew our world.
Please like, subscribe, and comment below. God bless you.